One person who got in touch is Martin Bostock from Coventry. And Martin's home is also his office.
I don't normally start my working day until just past midday, and I go on into the evening because it involves a lot of telephone calls with the United States.
Like many of us, Martin had always received the odd sales call from time to time. But one day, the problem suddenly began to escalate.
Hello? Yeah, and how did you get my number? It first became an enormous burden. I would guess about 4 years ago it started to increase from the occasional sales call to what I describe as determined campaigns. Listen, I'm not really very interested. Okay? Right, goodbye. I think I reached the point where I was on around about a maximum of 11 or 12 calls a day.
Martin's convinced that other members of his family also had their personal information shared by cold call companies.
My mother was quite clearly on a list where she was getting a lot of calls from charities, political parties campaigning, were phoning her up and asking her to make a donation. She's a generous old soul, and like many old people, she trusts people. She trusts people who call her. My father would attempt to get to the phone before she did. My father, at that time, was 95, in poor physical condition. On 2 occasions when I was there, my father took a fall while rushing to the phone to get there before my mother. Oh yes, I'm passionate about it. These people cause physical damage as well as inconvenience.
But Martin was being targeted by dozens of different companies.
Hello?
And it reached a point where he was receiving more than 70 calls every single week.
About 18 months ago, when I decided enough was enough, I put in a system, and it's a box that you plug in, and you can select whether a call is on your white list or your black list.
Martin's device is a call blocker, and there are dozens of similar models on the market.
If you know that a particular number is not one that you want to hear from, you can set up the system to intercept calls without your phone ringing, to ask the person to disclose who they are and where they are calling from, and then it will give you a discreet ring, and it will relay what they have said about who they are and where they're calling from, and you can choose to accept or not. Persistent phone pests, once you've captured their number, you can simply blacklist them.
The call blocker works like an automated home receptionist, asking callers from unrecognised numbers to identify themselves before transferring the call to Martin's phone. Genius.
And it tells me that they didn't leave a message. Whoever it was hung up. That's what most do. Once they're challenged and told that calls are filtered, they're asked for their name and what business and what is it that they want to speak to me about, and if they don't tell the machine that, then the machine will cut them off. But I can very quickly find out who it was who called. That gives me a readout on all the calls in and out on my landline.